Stories that matter. The journey of life from birth to death is an extraordinary trip, sometimes filled with great joy and excitement, but at other times filled with pain, sorrow, and disappointment. Stories That Matter shares both extremes with you. Sometimes our stories will make you feel very happy, but the journey of life is not all happiness. Other times, the journey of life will make you feel sad, for all of us have experienced both extremes. Stories That Matter will begin right after the break with a story that will touch your heart in the journey of life.
Welcome to Stories That Matter. I'm your host, Doug Thompson, with my special guest, Hannah Sailsbury. And Hannah, you are in charge of, the creator of, the founder and the executive director of Bibles in Schools. What's that mean?
Bibles in Schools. Well, we exist to donate engaging Bibles to public school libraries all across the United States.
And how do you go about that? What books do you put in other than, of course, Bibles? Fill me in on it.
Yeah, so I'll start with the story of how it all began, because that explains how we got to where we are today and why we choose the Bibles we do. So in 2018, I was teaching, and I knew that I needed God to help me to be present where I was. And so I started to get to school early and prayer walk around our school, praying for my teachers, my coworkers, the students, and just everybody in that community. And one particular day, I was listening to music, and I was praying the song, Holy Spirit, You're Welcome Here. Come flood this place, this atmosphere. And that's literally what I prayed. I prayed that Jesus's name would just be mentioned all in the classrooms and hallways of our public school. And God answered that prayers in bigger ways than I could have imagined, because a couple months later, my second grade student, reading on like a first grade reading level, he was reading the King James Version Bible and some of the definitions of heaven, hell, and God at the front of the Bible. And he told me that he wanted to learn more. And, I just kept teaching. And then I asked him, and I said, where did you get that Bible from? And he said he got it from our library. So I thought, okay, if this second grader is excited to read this Bible that is way above his reading level, what if we had a Bible that had pictures, more engaging and more on his reading level? And so I went to the store, Christian store, got the Action Storybook Bible. And if you've ever seen the Action Bibles, they have lots of pictures in them, kind of looks like a comic book. Donated it to our library. She said, sure, she accepted it. And the first student who checked it out got so excited when he read about God creating the ground that he told his friends all about God. He told his teacher, and then he went home and he told his mom about God. And so literally my prayer that Jesus would be mentioned all in the classrooms and hallways, it was happening through that one Bible that was in the library.
Wow. So it started with one Bible and a second grader finding it and started to read through it, look at it, do those things, and that opened the whole door for it, right?
Yes. And I saw literally before my eyes, Jesus's name being mentioned all in our school. And I said, this is God. We got to keep going with this.
Well, Hannah, tell me about your background here, because like you said, I would go to school early. I would go through the hallways, the classrooms, pray for everybody, pray for staff. Tell me about how you got to know the Lord, when, how, and fill us in on it.
I'm fortunate in that I grew up in a family that we went to church ever since I was a baby. And when I was 7 years old is when I accepted Jesus into my life. And continue to grow in my faith. When hard things happen in your life, you just grow stronger. So just when I was 9 years old, my sister got she got cancer. And so those things help you rely on God more. And, I grew up in public school my whole life, went to Liberty University, and then started teaching in public school. And, I would have never thought to put a Bible in a library, but again, it's God.
Well, it sounds like with your background and your training, it would be a next step for you. Bibles in schools, of course, would be. Why wouldn't they be? If you look at your education and the schools that you went into, of course, that's probably the most important book. No probably about it. That is the most important book that you can find.
That's right. But you kind of, when you're teaching, you're just teaching what you're told to, the curriculum. And, it just never crossed my mind to have a Bible in a library. And that's what's so cool about God, is because he puts people in your life that open your eyes to just living out the gospel and living out, showing his love wherever you are, whatever workplace you're in, and this is what God opened my eyes to.
How long ago was that, now that little second grader got that Bible out of there? How many years ago was that? Or was it more recent?
So that was in 2018. And in 2019, we launched the nonprofit Bibles in Schools. And so we've just continued to grow since then.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. We're going to cut away, take a break. You're listening to Stories That Matter. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Stories That Matter. I'm your host, Doug Thompson. My special guest today is Hannah Sailsbury from Virginia. Still in Virginia?
Yes.
Yeah, you love it there?
Born and raised, and I do love it.
All right, and are you married?
I'm not.
Okay, and so you've been teaching for how many years?
I taught for 9 years, and now I do Bibles in Schools full time.
Okay. Now, the Bibles in School, when did that, we talked about it at the very first segment about it with that young second grader that's now about 5 years older than that now. But then where did it go? Where did this go from there?
So, we started donating to all the schools in our county, and really just could see the impact. And so, again, a year later, I launched the nonprofit Bibles in Schools. CBN, the 700 Club, did an interview of Bibles in Schools, and that's what helped it to spread all across the United States. And so we're just very thankful for them and organizations like y'all to help us spread this mission.
Okay. Do you have chapters? Do you have chapters, if I can refer to them in that manner, chapters across the nation?
Yes, we are in all 50 states now. So we've donated to schools or a school in all 50 states. And we've donated to over 3,000 public school libraries and over 10,000 Bibles to those public school libraries.
Across the nation, 10,000?
Across the United States, yes.
Well, that's awesome. How do you make that happen? How do you do that? Because they're not free, and getting them out and the shipping that goes with it, the contacts that have to take place, talking to, I'm just guessing here, superintendents or principals or so forth. I'm doing too much talking about it. You tell me how it works.
So we're just so grateful for the body of Christ, because literally there's people all over the United States that want Bibles in our school libraries. So people give to support Bibles in Schools, which helps us to be able to offer these Bibles for free to the librarians. And there's 5 different action Bibles that we offer, and they can get up to 2 copies each. And then we ship them straight to their school, and we reach out to librarians all across the United States. But we really need people like you who have personal connections. If your child goes to a school, if you're a teacher, or you work in a school system, or hey, you have a school down the street from you, we need help and connections to get them in the school libraries.
Okay, how will the librarians or superintendents and principals, if they wanted to get in touch with you to be able to get Bibles for school, how do they do that?
You can go to biblesinschools.org. And if you're a librarian, there's a librarian tab. You just click on it, and you can order your Bibles, order through that link and see the different Bibles that we donate, but you definitely want to get in touch with us. Every district has different policies, and so we have to go about, depending on their policies as well.
Okay, and how many of the schools say, nope, too controversial, we're not going to put a Bible in the library? Do you run into that at all?
A lot. The majority we might not get a response, or we get emails back, or superintendents say no. So that's why it's really important that, as we continue this mission, I'll give you an example. One school had over 12,000 copies of books in their library. This was an elementary school, and they didn't have any Bibles in their school library. So you think about, the Bible is likely the most important book in the Western culture, on our political and our literature, with our literature. And so to not have the Bible in a library, and where we're teaching our students, like it needs to be in there, just for that, just for the impact that it's made in our country and the historical literature. So that's why we really need people knocking on doors. If we can't force them to put them on the library shelf, but you can go to them and tell them the importance and how you really want this available for students to check out. We literally have librarians telling us, they'll accept the donation. They say, thank you so much. We have students asking for the Bible, and we didn't have any Bibles in our library. We had a librarian tell us, thank you so much, because we had one Bible in our library, and it was from the 1950s. The 1950s. And so that's what we're finding, is that most libraries don't even have a Bible in them, or if they do, it's old, it's outdated. It's not something that kids would gravitate toward. And these action Bibles, they're like graphic novels, and that's the most popular book checked out among students today.
Okay. Are these Bibles that you're talking about with the illustrations in it, are they made specifically for your organization?
No, they're David C. Cook. They're the publishers, and we have stuck with the Action Bibles because we've gotten such great responses from the librarians and students. We've had librarians tell us, one librarian in Oregon told us they had the Action Bible on their shelf just 2 weeks, and they had a waiting list of 15 kids wanting to check it out. And so that tells you the impact, that kids actually want to check it out. And they're talking about it in their schools, because when one kid gets excited about something, all the other kids want it. So it's not just sitting on the shelves, the kids are liking it.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. That tells me that there's a tremendous hunger for the Word of God. And whether or not you've even read about it before, you know anything about it, if you're not even going to church, the Lord standing there right there with you, just like my hand is held out for you right now, is still right there. And He says, take my hand, take my hand. And of course, part of that is take that Bible, read that Bible, study that Bible, and it opens a whole new door. And we're gonna cut away and take a break, and we're gonna be right back. You're watching Stories That Matter. We'll be right back.
So now the movement has spread to other counties and other states, and Bibles are getting on the shelves of our public schools in elementary, middle, and high school, and it's totally legal. But we need your help. We need you to spread the word and to help us to get these Bibles in all of the counties all across the United States. So will you join us on this movement and go to BiblesInSchools.org and be a part of what Jesus is doing to give hope to students all across our nation? Thank you so much.
Welcome back to Stories That Matter. I'm your host, Doug Thompson, and I'm privileged this morning to visit with Hannah Sailsbury from Virginia, the founder, executive director of Bibles in Schools. And me being an old person, Bibles in School was just, sure, you could go in there and you could find those books and read them. But then over a period of time, they sort of got ushered out or put in the back area somewhere. Not by everybody. Many of the people, the librarians, have a absolute love for the Lord, and they want those books to be seen, but some didn't, and some I don't know the reason. Some of the superintendents or principals or such that didn't think that was appropriate to do so, and that's too bad. Do you run into any of that, Hannah?
Yes, we do, and we run into it a lot. But you have to think, when we took the Bible out of the schools, reading of the Bible and praying in schools in the 1960s, you can see where we've come. People hear the word Bible and they think, oh no, we can't do that. But that's why it's so liberating to know the truth and to know that Bibles are legal to have in our public school libraries, because I didn't even know that. And so when I understood that we could do this, I was like, well, why aren't we doing this? And we're the only organization that's doing this right now. So we definitely want everyone to help us and be a part.
Yeah, this is fantastic what you're doing, because you can get Bibles in schools all around this nation. How many schools are you in, if you know? And maybe you don't know that number.
We're in over 3,000 public school libraries.
That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. So how many Bibles would be out of 3,000 schools? How many Bibles would there be in those schools?
Over 10,000. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so some schools, they have one Bible in it. Some of them have like 10 Bibles now in them. So it's very exciting.
Man, that's amazing. Tell me what happened to that little second grader that got the first one out. 5 years later, that would make him a seventh grader. You still have contact with him?
I don't have any contact with him, but when he graduated 5th grade, I wanted his parents and I wanted him to know just how God used him, because so I contacted the parents who, I don't think they were Christians. And I asked them if I could give him his own personal action Bible as a 5th grade graduation gift. And I wanted their family to know that God used their son to open my eyes. And because of their son wanting to read the Bible, there are now thousands of kids reading Bibles in our public schools because of him.
That's absolutely awesome. That's one of God's miracles, that would have happened just that way. And that child, as a second grader, looking at that Bible, has opened the doors for thousands of others who have been reading the Bible, studying the Bible, and that's amazing.
And
now, what's the biggest problem you run into now as you try to go into one school after another? What's the biggest problem that you have with it?
The biggest problem is just librarians being open to receiving the donation and to realize that they can do this. And it's not just librarians, it's teachers, it's superintendents and principals. And I'm not saying that to look down on anyone, because I was in that same boat. I'm just saying it's the reality. The reality is we do get a lot of no's, but I have to keep reminding myself and everyone that you have to keep focused on that one Bible in one school literally impacts hundreds of thousands of students. So focus on the schools that we're getting in. And for the ones we're not giving up on them, but we've tried, and maybe we'll try next year, or maybe we'll try when we have more connections. So.
All right. And do you have a specific place that you get Bibles from, or are there multiple locations that you buy the Bibles from to put into the schools?
We get them from David C. Cook Publishers, and so they've been an awesome publisher to be able to work with.
Okay. Have you had any organizations that try to challenge you on this? to prevent you from doing this, to stop it? Do you have any organizations against you like that? And I don't want to know their names. I just want to know if there are.
Right. No, we haven't had organizations, but it's gonna come. When you're trying to get Bibles in schools and do God's work. But as I continue to say, students want Bibles, just like my student, and we got to do something about that. And so this is not about the organizations that don't want us to have it. This is about the students and their right to be able to check out Bibles. Yeah.
For many of the kids, I'm guessing that this is a situation when they get to read that Bible, or when they get to check it out, look at the pictures, read it, do those things. This may be their only connection that they're getting in their walk to get to know the Lord. For some, I'm guessing this is it. They're not going to church. Their families aren't going to church. For whatever reasons, they're not. And sometimes that's inherited from the parents who we're not going to church. And so the child doesn't get to. And the child wouldn't know about it except for what you're doing.
And that made me think of a story in Pennsylvania. And there was a student, a boy in elementary school, and he went up, stopped his librarian, and he said, "Are there more Action Bibles?" Because he had checked out the NIV Action Study Bible, which is the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, the whole Bible. And he told the librarian that his mom, and his siblings read 3 chapters a night of the Bible together, and that he wanted more Action Bibles to check out. And that just shows you that these Bibles, like you were saying, I don't know if their family goes to church or not, but it doesn't matter. They're reading the Bible together every night. And that's why it's so awesome, because they check it out, they take it home. These Bibles are going into homes where people don't know about God. And because of the excitement of their child, they're going to read it with them. And then they bring it back, and then another kid gets to check it out. It's just a ripple effect that keeps going.
Yeah, it's awesome, and you're exactly right, because that moves from one child to the next one. What are you reading? Can I see what that is? And away it goes. We're going to cut away and take a break. You're watching Stories That Matter. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Stories That Matter. I'm Doug Thompson with my special guest, and she is special, Hannah Sailsbury from Virginia, the founder, executive director of Bibles in School. And if you've been listening to this, then you know how hard she's working at this. And not only is she working at it, the Lord is opening every door for her, for kids to be able to read those Bibles and share them with family. They may be the only one in the family who's reading that, doing that. Hannah, where are you going from here, buddy?
Well, I'm just thankful that there are thousands of people that are helping to support Bibles in schools, and there's ways that you can support Bibles in schools too. If you go on our website, biblesinschools.org, you can sign up to get our prayer emails once a month to know what to pray for. You can give to help us to be able to keep providing these Bibles for schools. And then you can also email us and check in to see if we've donated to your local schools. And then we'll help you with the process of how to go about that. We need your help, but most importantly, students need to be able to read the Bible and have access to it.
You got it. You've heard the same program I have, Bibles in School with Hannah Sailsbury. Thank you, Hannah. God bless you. Take care.
Thank you.